today's committee. It's Wednesday, February 6th. We have a quorum. I'm joined by an angry Miss. No, I'm joined by Miss Perry and Mr. Reyes. We have several items on today's agenda. Hey, Jan.
Yes,
at least I didn't say in over 40s.
Oh, no. See, remember, you are older than I am.
I understand.
Yeah, okay.
I understand.
Plus, my skin looks better.
Yes, it does.
Your lies.
Okay, anyway, we've got 8 items today. I believe there'll only be one.
Uh-oh. Call from outer space.
Okay, I think we will have one discussion item. So why don't we go through the other items quickly, Ms. Barclay? We can start with item 2.
Good morning, Meg Barclay with the CLA. The item 2 is a report from the Community Redevelopment Agency and the Chief Legislative Analyst to amend a cooperation agreement between the CRA and the Department of City Planning for the Vinegar Hill Historic Preservation Overlay Zone.
Okay, then without objection, we'll adopt the CLA report on that item 3.
Item 3 is a report from the CRA and the CLA relative to increasing a construction contract with Zisser Company for the 103rd Street Blue Line Park and Ride facility.
Okay, without objection, we'll adopt the CLA report on item 3. Item 4.
Item 4 is a report from the CRA and the City Administrative Officer and a resolution to amend a construction contract with Sully Miller Contracting Company for the implementation of streetscape improvements on Sherman Way in Canoga Park.
Okay, we'll adopt the CAO report on item 4. Item 5.
Item 5 is a report from the CRA and the CAO relative to a construction and permanent loan agreement with Rittenhouse Limited Partnership for the Rittenhouse Square Affordable Housing Project.
Okay, on item 5, we'll adopt the CAO report. Item 6.
Item 6 are reports from the CRA and the CLA to, relative to executing a conditional grant agreement with KH Enterprise for the acquisition and rehabilitation of a manufacturing site in the Earthquake Disaster Assistance Project.
Okay, so on item 6, we'll adopt the CLA report. Item 7.
Item 7 are reports from the CRA and the CLA relative to an environmental action and an owner participation agreement with Magnolia Loft LLC.
Okay, on item 7, we'll adopt the CLA report. Item 8.
Item 8 are reports from the Community Development Department and the CAO relative to releasing a request for proposals for financial advisory services for the Industrial Development Authority.
Okay, so on item 8, we'll adopt the CAO report. So without objection, those items will be deemed approved. Ms. Barclay, what's remaining on today's agenda?
That would be item 1, Mr. Wesson.
And item 1 would be what?
Item 1 is a communication from the mayor relative to the appointment of Ms. Jacqueline DuPont Walker to the Housing Authority of the City of Los Angeles for the term ending June 30th, 2011.
Ms. DuPont Walker, please come forward.
I have one question to ask her.
Okay, I mean, you see what happened? You came up to sit and everybody ran out.
Yeah, they were running out of the door.
So, are you angry too?
Can't get away. See, when we get downstairs, it's going to be on.
Okay. This is what I want to do. I want to afford you the. Well, first, let me say this. And Ms. Perry, you were here last week. Mm-hmm. Last week we had another dear friend and very qualified
highly
individual to that we appointed, and that was in Mr. Tom Sales. And then I didn't even know that I was going to be doubly, blessed to have somebody like you come before this committee. So with that said, I'm going to let you say a few things about yourself and why you want to do this or why you feel qualified. And other than an angry Miss Perry, I don't think we're going to have a problem.
No. And I'm not angry.
She says she does have a series of questions.
Yeah, no, just one about her activities in the subversive feminist organization of Delta Sigma Theta.
Thank you. Good morning.
Good morning.
Our
Our subversive organization came before the City Council so that we could be blessed,
Yeah.
and we thank you for doing that last
Yes,
week.
anytime, anytime. I always support my sisters. Yes,
Subversive.
yes, yes. Yes.
Good morning. It's my pleasure to come before you this morning, Councilman Wesson, Perry, and Reyes. It is a challenge to be a part of the Housing Authority Commission because there is much work to be done, but it's an honor because we join in partnership with the City of Los Angeles. What I do for a living as a community developer is serve as a landlord, and this is the city's most challenging landlord opportunity. And I hope that I can join the other commissioners in making a difference in the quality of life for the residents of the Housing Authority, but most importantly, to make it a stellar part of the community. I've served on several commissions. I noticed the briefing sheet said none, but I did serve on the LA Housing Department's initial and inaugural commission. I've also served on the Charter Commission, having been elected in the 10th Council District, and I was appointed to the Redistricting Commission in the last round. Most recently, I served on the review of the Charter and found that the work we had done in 1998 was actually good work, but more recommendations have come forward. I hope that my attendance record is only surpassed by what I was able to contribute to each of those particular activities. We will surely be mindful of the mission of the city, the fiscal condition of the city at this point, but that I bring the commitment to be fully involved, and I'm ready to serve.
How are you going to find the time?
She doesn't sleep.
Obviously.
But she calls me at 6 in the morning.
I've gotten a couple of those calls, but I mean,
Or at 11:30 at night.
really, how are you going? What do you? How do you find? How are you going to put this in? Insert this into your schedule?
Well, it's interesting because it is so intermeshed now, dealing with housing issues. I think what I will learn from the other side is how we can best improve the services that at one point all of us attacked from a different angle. Bottom line is I sleep about 4 hours a night. I'll reduce it to 3.45.
Miss Perry?
I remember her work on the Redistricting Commission. She was a voice of balance and reason. She did it with a great deal of intelligence and technical capacity. And the thing I like most about Jackie is that she's extremely diplomatic, and she's able to cross divides that a lot of people wouldn't have the patience to even attempt to cross. And so I have Avalon Gardens and Pueblo del Rio in my district, and so I think she's going to be a tremendous asset in helping me move the renovations and the restorations along, and working to bring more amenities over into those areas, and probably assisting me in making a better connection between the residents in those developments and the surrounding businesses that are just beginning to emerge in those areas.
I'd just like to share, when I came to Los Angeles in '74, the first involvement I had was as the head of the summer youth program, the supervisor in Pueblo del Rio. And recently, there was a lady there who taught me a lot, coming from a smaller community, Emma Curry. And recently, I was in the Housing Authority office as the head of Ward EDC, and I saw Emma Curry's daughter working there. So I think this is deja vu in a sense, and I was pleased that the kind of service she's offering reflected a respect for the clients.
So you came here in '74 from where?
I came from Baltimore.
Okay, I came in '74 from Ohio. Mr. Reyes.
Well, it's a pleasure to see you here this morning.
Likewise.
In the mid-'80s, I'm going to date ourselves here, but you and I were working on a conference with community development corporations. At the time, I was at the Spanish-Speaking Unity Council up in Oakland, and you came up with a lot of folks working on investment strategies for CDCs. So I know you've been in the trenches, probably one of the most challenging parts of our state, if not this country. But what strikes me is this experience that you've had in working with the very sensitive issue of income, different ethnic groups, and looking at the challenge we have with our the poverty that creates these cultures that allow us to, how can I say this, have some hope in dealing with the gang culture. I wanted to ask you, in these landlord situations and seeing what's in these types of facilities, what do you think we can do different, given your experience in how we're dealing with this whole issue of this conflict, black on black, brown on brown, black on brown, and vice versa, because of this gang culture in our tenants? I mean, what do you see us doing different? I know we've been working on gang intervention. We're trying to bring resources. We're dealing with this whole issue of green buildings. We want to decentralize economic ghettos. Can you just share maybe some thoughts about how you see this? I know I'm throwing a lot at you, but I'm just wondering, how do you see this role playing out for you, given what you bring to the table?
Thank you. I wish I had an answer. I think that what I bring is an earnest effort to continue striving to solve the problem. In the properties that we own and manage now, we have approximately 14 cultures, and so we're constantly trying to find out what works across lines. I think with housing authority properties in particular, there is still a very strong distrust amongst the residents of those people who are making decisions. And so I think what I will bring to the process is the listening ear and just trying to start and take a small bite-sized piece and see if something works. I know them in lots of model projects. I was around for a community build type project where we actually went into the housing development and we were there.
Right.
There was a lot of trust among the people who were identified as gang members at that time.
Right.
There was a lot of work with family members who had gang members in their households and how they could be better parents of all of that. The problem is these things go in cycles, and somehow we have to find a way to bring it in so that it's not an activity, but it becomes a part of how we work in the project. In my last visit to Housing Authority, I was actually in the line with the tenants, and it was very enlightening to hear what they thought about the people they were going to meet on the other side. Now, once they discovered that I should have been in another line, all hell broke loose, and people were angry with me for standing in that line. But there was a reason. I didn't know. I hadn't been in the office before.
Right.
And I think that's a part of what the issue is. There is a serious gap and distrust between the people who are receiving the service and those who are providing it. And somehow we've got to make that come together.
The reports we were getting, and I know there have been change in management because of the assertions of mismanagement and even corruption and how the money was being handled and the resources. I know Mead Housing, we're going through a lot of distrust because of the river plan. And it's right next to the river. It's a big piece of land. The city controls it. And I've had 2 community meetings in that facility because folks were told we were going to displace them. And our meetings were about how we were going to create mixed income environments. And I'm hoping by changing the concentration of this type of facility that we actually upgrade it and have mixed income environments, perhaps we can decentralize it to the extent where you don't have that type of concentration. So I'm looking forward to working with you because that's something that we're in the middle of the discussion of industrial versus residential. We're looking at the river plan. We're looking at community plans. And all of these are talking about changing entitlements. Right. I just hope we're strategic enough to create enough value in these places where we can bring in mixed income environments and begin to deal with that culture you're talking about.
And perhaps you're already very much aware, but Chicago has done an outstanding job of looking at mixed income. Some successes, some failures. And prior to even knowing about this appointment, I've been looking at it because in all of our communities, we've done an excellent job with the low and very low income housing. The market has taken care of the upper end housing.
Right.
We've basically created a gap, a trench between the 60% and the 100% interest of housing. So we've driven our children, our grandchildren, our parents, our grandparents out of town.
Right.
They can't afford to buy. And so I think what you're talking about, there is an excellent model in Chicago. and they're perfectly willing to tell us what worked and what they wish they had done differently. And perhaps we can actually learn from that in dealing with the mixed income, even at the home ownership level.
Well, maybe we can get the housing authority staff to send me the location of the Chicago model. I'd like to look at it.
Yeah.
Because we're at the ground level of this discussion on how we create these zoning patterns to facilitate what you're describing.
Right.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
And good luck to you.
Thank you.
Well, I really don't think you're going to need any luck. I just say it's a, I've known you since 1987, and I'm just proud of the way that I've seen you just grow and do phenomenal things in our community, and I'm just very fortunate to have you as a dear friend. So we do have one card from the public on this item, Mr. Sachs.
Is he going to oppose her?
I don't have a clue.
Oh, dear.
I left my crystal ball in the
Let me
car.
start praying now. Okay.
Good morning, Mr. Sachs.
Good morning,
Dear.
sir. Good morning. Thank you very much. Good luck with your new appointment. I do have two things to ask you. Doing just over the past couple of meetings or so in the Housing Department and things on the agenda, I've come to count 2 departments, 1 agency, 1 committee, 1 commission, and 1 authority, all involved in housing. Do you see any duplicity in any of these?
Wait, Mr. Sachs, I want you, hold this time. You can talk to us. I'm just not comfortable in you questioning the appointee. So if you have some, voice your concern. So let's do it that way.
Let me do this way. Sir.
Not that she wouldn't have answered, but still.
Okay.
I don't think I want to run my committee that way. So go on.
That's fine. I apologize. Again, over the past couple of weeks, coming to the meetings here and going to the city council meetings, I've found that there's 2 departments, 1 agency, 1 committee, 1 commission, and now an authority, all involved in housing. Is there any kind of duplicity that can be addressed in all these different organizations that might be eliminated or might be addressed or might be something that the new appointee would look into? Could I ask that?
Good question. Good question.
Question number 2. On the 18th of this past month, there was an item on the agenda regarding a community development block grant float loan.
Mr. Chair, are we not supposed to stay on topic?
I'm going to let him. I feel pretty good today.
Oh, you
You're
feel-
supposed to stay on topic.
Oh,
You're
okay.
going to.
Well, again, I
no,
mean-
Mr. Sachs, finish. Come on.
Okay.
That's today.
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 The Community Development Department made this loan to the Community Redevelopment Agency so that the SRO Housing Corporation could buy some property on 1000 East 7th Street. My question is why the pass-through to another agency when the SRO Housing Corporation was going to be using the money? What's the reasoning behind the money going to the Community Redevelopment Agency first? If it's coming from coming from one department, then it should go directly to the people that are in need of it. Why the pass-through to another department? Thank you. And your opinion on that?
Thank you. With that said, without objection, Ms. DuPont-Warco, we will forward your recommend to the entire council that you be confirmed. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay.
Ms. Barclay, is there any more business before this committee?
No, sir.
Then this committee is adjourned, so let it be written, so let it be done. Ms. Perry, is there anything that I can do for you so that you won't be angry all day?
No, I'm not. I'm very pleased. I'm just, this is called, as Pastor Logan says, a teaching moment.